Is this book worth reading? Should this book be read by only the art student or every student preparing for the UTME? How interesting is it to use this book? Now, there are several questions that students do ask themselves while using the JAMB novel to prepare for the UTME or the use of English examination. Now, in the course of this video lesson, I'm going to share with you important things you ought to know about this book and how to use this particular book to prepare for your exam effectively. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. To my returning subscriber, thanks for being part of this channel, and to those who are new to this channel, welcome to this channel. You can also do it to click on the subscribe button just beneath this video so that you always get notified whenever I release any new video. In this particular video, I'm going to tell you reasons why every student preparing for the UTME ought to read this book and how to make good use of this book in your preparation. Before I do that, I'm going to share with you this particular experience. As at last year in 2024, just 2 weeks before the 2024 UTME, I was having a revision class in chemistry with some science students. And in that particular class, there were roughly between 50 to 60 students. Then I was led to ask them how many of them were prepared for that particular year or that 2024 UTME. And trust students, they will always tell you that they are not prepared. Then I said, fine, but you have to do all it takes to prepare for the examination. Then I asked them how many of them have read this particular novel, which is the life changer for the 2024 UTME. And out of 50 to 60 students, not up to 20 have read that particular novel. Some of them were waiting for last minute revision or probably waiting for materials to prepare for the examination. In my experience, I came to the conclusion that most science students don't like reading the prescribed novel for the use of English, and by extension, some social science students and even some art students. Now, every 1 mark is worth it in your exam, so do not joke with that 1 mark, and that 1 mark may just be from this particular novel. In your exam, you'll be given up to 5 questions, and let's say 2 marks is awarded to every particular question. So that makes it a total of 10 marks from this particular book. Now, I've seen cases of students who are aspiring for a particular course, let's say medicine, and the aggregate or the cutoff mark for medicine, let's say, is 77, and they got 76.7. Now, just imagine the pain that kind of student will go through, seeing that the student is just 0.3 marks away from getting medicine. Now, I have a friend, while I was preparing for the UTME, the person got 298. Now, the person was pained because the person was actually dreaming of getting a score above 200, let's say 300. Now, the girl was just 2 marks away from 200. So the girl cried even despite getting a good score that she actually needed for studying that particular course, which was accounting. But she was pained because she needed just 2 marks just to climb or just to get 300. So in this video lesson, I'm going to tell you how you can use this book to prepare effectively for the use of English examinations or for questions that may arise from this book. So the first thing you ought to do is to divide the chapters of this book and read it in bits so that you can assimilate it better. It will be very wrong if you pick up this book for the first time and try to cover it from the beginning to the end of this book. Now, there are 12 chapters in this book. You can take this book and divide it into 2 chapters per day. So in a space of 6 days, you should have covered this book in your first reading. So the second thing you ought to do is to read this book multiple times. So I've found our students who just read the book once and just think they have understood it. I remember preparing for the exam. So in my time, I was meant to read Sweet 16. So when I read the book the first time, I thought I actually understood every sentence in the book. But going back to the book the second time, I started seeing some things I omitted while I was reading the book. So when you go back and read the book multiple times, you tend to see some things you missed probably in your previous reading, and then they will come to your own knowledge and your understanding. So the third thing is that if you go through this book, there are a lot of characters, and I think that's one of the reasons why students find this book boring. Now, irrespective of that, every character you come across in this book, take note of them and also take note of the role they play in this particular book. So what I advise to do is that get a note. So for every character you come across, write their names and write their roles. So when you go back and read this book over and over and over again, you then know who is the vice principal, or who is the CRA teacher, or who is the fine arts teacher. So read the book multiple times and also take note of every character. Then number 4 is that if you go through this book, you tend to see statements at every point. So for every statement you come across, take note of who made that particular statement and to whom that statement was made to. So it's just like someone asks you, oh, principal, why are you crying? So you could be asked, who made this statement and to whom was this statement made to? So take note of every character you find in this novel, and also take note of every statement you come across in this particular novel. So number 5 is that when you come across new words in this particular novel and you don't know the meaning, it is better you underline such words or find out the meaning of such words instantly. So don't be like, oh, I don't have to know it. In your exam, that word could just be underlined for you as a phrase, and you could be asked, what is the meaning of that particular word? And also take note of some idiomatic expressions or some figurative expressions you may find in novel. Know their meaning and know how they are being used in the particular novel. And then number 6 is that you should practice questions. Now I know this is a new book and there might be no enough questions from your past questions, but I believe you can get questions from other sources which will aid your knowledge on this book. So sometimes you might feel like, oh, I've read this book, but there are some details, some fine details which you have missed in this book. Lastly, read this book multiple times, like I said, number 2, till you are able to recognize every line in the book. Yes, some students say that the book is very boring or the narrative is boring, but that should not be your focus right now, because this book carries a lot of marks that will be very relevant to you as a student. Like I said, every 1 mark is worth it. So read this book till you're able to deduce every line in this particular book. In my subsequent videos, I'll be uploading detailed narrative of every chapter of this book, chapter by chapter, with possible examination questions. And also, I'm going to release a summary of this book, which will contain likely examination questions. If you gain something from this particular video, don't forget to like this video and also share the video to your friends who are preparing for the 2025 UTME. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do it to click on the subscription icon below this video. And also, if you have any questions and suggestions, do it to drop them in the comment section of this video. I'll meet you there.